Welcome to yet another episode of HVACR Versed. I'm your host, Kevin Stiles. Man, before I was getting ready to film this, I was setting it up and I was like watching some TikToks. Such a toxic thing to do, watching TikToks and Instagram. But I came across this video and I probably shouldn't have responded to it, but man. Sometimes some of these things I watch on TikTok just drive me absolutely nuts.
Why does a capacitor cost $375? I found it on Amazon for $25.
Hey, guess what? Go ahead, order that capacitor, put it in yourself for $25, and when you fail and destroy your unit, I'll be there to charge you $500 now. No, I'm just kidding. That stuff drives me nuts. People arguing prices, but they'll spend $1,500 on an iPhone, and they don't ever argue that price, so they'll go spend $2 on a fountain drink, and that's like a 2,000 plus markup on those. But hey, whatever. I guess when it's just air conditioning, that's when we want to argue pricing or their cars. I'm going to argue the price of my car. All right, so in this episode, I want to talk about aluminum repairs. I'm not sure if everyone in new builds around the country are seeing the same thing we are seeing here in Arizona, but aluminum line sets on these new constructions. I've been seeing quite a few lately of aluminum line set and new construction, and it's mostly from one contractor here in the valley. I'm not going to say their name, but everybody in Arizona knows who they are. Some people call them chainsaw something. That's where I'm going to leave it at. But these aluminum line sets drive me nuts. You're not really saving a whole lot, and a lot of them are leaking because they don't know how to properly do it. Now, fine, let's get over that fact. But aluminum line sets, aluminum coils, can we repair them? How do we repair them? Should we repair them? Well, there's a few caveats to that. I got one sitting right over here. We're going to work on it. I know it's got a leak. I pulled it out today. I even identified the leak. It's fixable. But coil was under warranty through the manufacturer. Now, I know we all give Goodman a hard time about their leaking coils, and same thing with Lennox, but guess what? This is out of a train. I haven't had as many train coils leak, but this is the second one that I've seen leak in this area. So I fixed one of them already. This one, the customer wanted to go ahead and replace the coil. I'm okay with that. He didn't feel comfortable fixing it, which is fine. It would have been cheaper to fix it, but he still had to pay to have labor to have the coil replaced. Fine. But should we repair coils? Absolutely. What's the instance of knowing how to repair an aluminum coil? If the coil's on back order, we have no idea how long it's going to take. I had a Lennox condenser coil that took 8 months. All right, that's an exaggeration. Took 4 months before the coil came in. Now, granted, my technician put the hole in the coil, so I ordered the coil for the customer, but I fixed the coil because it was not going to be okay to sit 4 months without air conditioning. That was not going to be okay. I think it took longer than that. I think it happened during the wintertime, and then it didn't get replaced until like May. So that's a good instance of knowing how to do aluminum repairs. Aluminum to copper line sets. That's a good instance of knowing how to repair the aluminum to copper. Then what's the I've bought these fittings that I forgot the manufacturer and the brand on them, but they're like these press connect shark bite fittings. Do not use the red compression fittings. They will blow out. I promise you. I have seen those red compression fittings, like they have the 2 compression nuts on the ends. I have physically seen at a customer's house one of those blow apart and wrap the suction line around one of the trusses. It was wild. So we ban those in our company. Like, they're not allowed to be used anymore, period. Flat out. No more of those compression couplings. These press connect fitting, like these push connect ones, I've seen some of those that we've used. Had a couple that don't work per se, but I don't know if it's because technicians didn't deburr the pipe and it nicked the gasket. What happened? I have no idea. One today, install crew used it to connect to the aluminum line set on the house. They're replacing the whole unit. The push connect fitting held the vacuum, but when they went to go open up the liquid line, it blew apart. Now, I looked down it and I could kind of see some like burrs in there. So I don't know if the outside, if they didn't deburr it properly, and that's what caused the problem. I'm not going to get into that. I went out there, helped the installing manager just solder those two together, the aluminum to copper. Now, there's a couple products out there to do this, and I'll list those links in the description below for those products. One of those products is from I don't know if I'm going to pronounce their name wrong, and I'm sorry if I do, but the name of the manufacturer is Lucas Milhop. This is the product that I prefer, AL822. So this is right here. I'll put this link for this for their product in the description below. And there's another one that I've used. The only problem is you got to kind of use a flux that you dip the rod into. Kind of heat the rod up, dip it into the flux, get the flux onto the actual aluminum or the fitting, and then you kind of melt it in. It's a waste of time. This has worked perfectly for me for everything, like patching holes, copper to aluminum, repairing coils. This stuff's been phenomenal. I prefer this over all the products. So I'll put this link in the description below. So, should we repair aluminum coils? Well, if you can't get the coil for the customer and it's the middle of the summer and the manufacturer's saying, yeah, it's looking like 6 to 8 weeks before that coil is back in stock, that sucks. We should be able to try and fix it, right? Let's say in the instance of 5-year-old unit, right? You would assume it's under warranty. The previous homeowner bought the equipment, but when the new homeowner moved in, they didn't transfer the warranty over to them. So no one ever did the warranty registration. So now they're out of that warranty period. You go in and they're like, I don't have whatever you guys charge for replacing a coil. That's not under warranty. I'm not going to argue people's pricing. You can do whatever you want to do. But you can give the option, hey, I can see if I can repair this coil. And it will be cheaper than replacing the coil. What's easier? Pull a coil out and repair it in the attic or the basement or wherever you guys have your equipment at, or trying to get that coil out, make a new coil fit in, all that stuff. More than likely, it's easier to repair it. I've been seeing, I had Lennox coils out of the box that leak right out of the box, and one of them I was able to repair, and it was such a stupid location, and I don't know how nobody caught it. Like the screw on the V on the front of the A coil, it like rubbed on the aluminum and tiniest little nick. But it was fixable. I've had a couple coils where it's leaking on the U-bins, and they've been fixable. Micro channel coils, I've been able to fix those. Those are like, I don't care if you replace it, it's going to leak eventually. Save the customer some money, maybe fix it. But if you're dealing with the aluminum line sets, I mean, nothing's guaranteed. These push connect fittings, the Pro Press fittings, these compression fittings, they're not a guarantee. Even soldering's not a guarantee, but I feel more comfortable with a soldering joint. I have Pro Press aluminum to copper. I haven't had an issue yet, but I feel more comfortable with a good solder joint. I'm not bagging on Pro Press. I think it's an amazing product, whether it's plumbing or HVAC. You know what? Save time and money. Fittings may cost more, but the amount that you save in labor, it's awesome. So I got this coil over here. I'm going to show you guys where the leak is, and I'll show you how to repair it. It's not something to be scared of and something that we should practice and figure out and learn how to do. It's about heat control and having patience and prepping your surface. The hard part, because you see back there, I don't have torches. That's MAP gas. I'm going to use MAP gas to fix this thing. MAP gas is all you need to fix aluminum or to solder aluminum to copper. That's all you need. You don't want a lot of heat. So I'm going to pressurize it, show you guys where the leak is, show you how I go about cleaning it, because I clean the area super good. I sand it down, I brush it out, and then I take rubbing alcohol or mineral spirits, whatever you want to use, to get the oils out of there. Something that's going to evaporate and not leave that oil behind, and make it nice and clean. Because the cleaner it is, the easier it is to work with, and the better success you're going to have. The prep work is the success. So I have this saying that I say to technicians all the time: cleanliness is godliness. It's true. The cleaner the cleaner your fittings and stuff are, the prep work into your surface is going to make it easier. Without further ado, I'm going to send us on over to the other side. All right, so I got this Train aluminum coil here that I'm going to pressurize and show you guys where the leak is and show you how I go about repairing it. So I'm going to open up the nitrogen. Now, when we were looking for the leak on this coil, we couldn't hear it, but when I pressurized it, I could hear it. And it wasn't like the system was going flat instantly. It was taking like weeks before it would get low enough to where it would start causing an effect on the system. So it's kind of hard to hear, but I'm going to put the microphone up to where the leak is so you guys can hear it. Not sure if you can hear that. That's kind of the general area of where the leak is. And I'll show you with some soap where it is. Hopefully don't spray my camera. So, right on this U-bend is a leak. I'm going to move you guys around a little bit so you can kind of get up close and personal and see the leak. But it's right in there. It's on this little bend right here. Now I'm not sure if you can see it. There's kind of like a little gap in there. There was a manufacturing defect. Right there. We're going to see if we can fix that on camera. Don't forget, it's right here. I'm going to show you the process that I use to clean this up. So don't forget, it's right there. I like to start with a little bit of sandpaper while I keep some pressure on the system. I don't prefer like the sandpaper style stuff. I like to use the open mesh. I think it cleans better. I'm going to lower my settling down so that way it doesn't get knocked over and create some problems. So I clean the pipe up as good as I can with my abrasive cloth. An SOS pad works well too. But you got to get this really clean. And I never said this was like super easy. That's plastic. We might melt that, or that metal. I can't tell. Let's fast forward the sanding part to where it gets done. So I'm going to let you see in here kind of how clean I got it with the sand cloth. So it's this pipe right here. Gotten it pretty shiny with the sand cloth. My next step is, now you can really see that divot in there where it's leaking. Right there. So the next step is, I'm going to take a metal brush and I'm going to brush it up to get it even cleaner. If I can get the camera back Go up a little bit higher so you can see. Alright. So, I'll take a metal brush like this, and I'll get in those crevices that I didn't get to before. And I'll just clean it up even better. My real objective is to get, I got a splinter from my wooden brush. My real objective is to try and get as much stuff out of there so it's as clean as possible so I don't get any porosity, because I don't want things to get caught inside the solder and create a small little pocket that I have to chase around. So, now that I got that brushed up pretty good, and while I still got some nitrogen flowing on it, I'm going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol cleans, or mineral spirit, something along that nature. I'll put it on this rag. Normally I have a little spray bottle with some rubbing alcohol in it, because it'll clean up any oils. There we go. And it'll dry up. It'll get all that garbage out of there. Alright. So we got that all squared away. Looks pretty clean. I think I'm going to hit with this brush one more time. Just to make sure I get anything out of there out. So now that I feel that I got it pretty cleaned up in there, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol again, just to make sure that I didn't have any oils on that brush. You can use mineral spirits, just something that evaporates and doesn't leave oil behind, because you want to make sure this is clean. Once again, cleanliness is godliness when it comes to this. Alright. So, I feel like I got most of that off. I'm going to release this nitrogen. Alright. Got the nitrogen off. Now I'm going to be using this AL822. This stuff is what I prefer for aluminum. It's pretty good. It's not super expensive, and it works. It's flux cord, doesn't require any flux. While some of the other stuff requires flux, this one doesn't. And I'm going to be using a MAP gas torch. You can use propane, but I prefer MAP gas. I think MAP gas works better in my opinion. So, in this case, it's all about heat control and not applying too much heat. So you need the right amount of heat and focus it correctly. So you'll see I'll add some heat, I'll pull it away, add some heat, pull it away. I'll stick my stick on there, see when it starts to melt. When it starts to stick to the pipe, I know I've got enough heat on there. That's the flux that's coming off. So my pipe's not hot enough yet. The actual solder itself is not sticking to the pipe. I might turn my heat up a little bit. There we go. This stuff flows like water once you get it hot enough. So we're just trying to work it in and fill that hole in. Oh, I saw that pocket pop open again. Alright. So I feel like I got that pretty good. I'll let you guys see it without melting the camera. I like to build a nice little shoulder up on those. I think it works better. I don't know if you guys can see that. Take it from another angle. Build a nice little shoulder up, and I think it works pretty well. So, let's pressure test it and see how we did. Hook my nitrogen back up. I don't hear anything leaking. I sure got my nitrogen tank open. Oh, there we go. Like, man, that's no nitrogen whatsoever. Got my regulator set to about 200 psi. I'm going to stop flowing it there. I'm going to use this, make sure it's not super hot still. I think we got that. Put some soap on it. I don't think we have any leaks. Put a little bit of light on there. Oh, got a small little leaker. I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of hard to see, but it's very small. It's a small little bubble. Alright, well, let's see if we can get it again. Clean it up, and I'll build a little bit bigger of a shoulder. It doesn't always work out in our favor, but sometimes we have to try and try again. Alright, to spare you guys, I just cleaned it up again. We'll hit it up again, make sure to get the nitrogen off of here. Before it leaked out way faster. That's a tiny little leak on there. Alright. See if we can get it this time. Should have pulled that little center plate off and made life a little bit easier. Alright. I'm going to build a little bit more of a shoulder up this time. Increase my heat. Work it around. Be stronger than the factory. Never said it was pretty, but it's effective. I'm not going for beauty here. I'm going for no leaks. Alright. Now that that's cooled down, Doesn't take long for this aluminum to cool down. It's very thin. Just for giggles, I'm going to cool it down with some rubbing alcohol. Once again, you don't have to use rubbing alcohol to clean the pipe off, but I recommend something that gets rid of grease and oil. Now, I'm not going to go run home bragging to my mother about the way this looks. This is probably the worst one I've done so far. Let's pressurize with nitrogen again. Let it get up there in pressure. I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of soapy soap on there. Tank slowing down, so I'd hit 200 psi. I think I got it. Yep, there's no sign of a leak in there. Once again, it's not pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just not got a leak. I'll take you from the other side. This right here. Doesn't have to be pretty, guys. Just got to not leak. I got 200 psi on this thing right now, and she's not leaking. Alright. Now I'm going to intentionally put a hole in the coil. I'll let you guys see from a better view of repairing it with a hole in the coil. So I'm going to put a hole in this right here. There's still pressure on it. It's not leaking. I ran a screw in this and I didn't want it. Oh man, it blew off. I'm screwed. What am I going to do now? That hole isn't as big as you think. I made a pretty small hole. Well, that's pretty easy to repair, Kevin. What about a bigger hole? Well, let's make the hole bigger. I'm going to flow nitrogen so I just don't... whatever. This coil's not getting used anyway, so let's just make it bigger and we don't care about shavings. How am I going to fix that, Kevin? I just put that big old hole in there. How are we going to fix that? Well, I'll show you how we're going to fix that. Same way, same process. We're going to take our sanding paper. In this case, I'm not going to use my brush because I don't need it because I don't have to get in kind of... I'll still use the brush to get in that crevice. We'll let some nitrogen flow. It's good practice. You don't have to flow nitrogen with this stuff when you're soldering with it. It's not enough heat and it's got a flux in it, so you don't have to flow nitrogen. That's the beauty of it. If you flow nitrogen, it's not going to stick. I can promise you that. I'm just going to push it right out. So I got it polished up with my sand cloth. I'm going to take a brush and just purge nitrogen to show what you would do in this case, so that way you're not pushing material down inside there. So once we did that, take my rag with rubbing alcohol on it, clean any oil off of there. And we're going to fill that hole in, and we're going to see if it leaks. Let you guys see the close-up view of it. So with this one, I'm not going to need a whole lot of heat. Like I said, it's very, very low heat. I'm going to start with the outside of the pipe so I don't drop solder inside there. I just want to see it stick to it. There we go. Now we got this pipe hot enough. I'm working this flame around. If you don't feel comfortable not flowing nitrogen, just make sure your nitrogen is really low. There we go. I just covered that hole up. Now we can see if it's going to leak or not. Cool it down a little bit. Pump some nitro in there. See if it's leaking. Still kind of hot. Nothing. Nothing is leaking on there. Just hot. So, not that hard to do aluminum repairs. Just takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of heat control. I wouldn't really use your torches. You can do it, but you got to feather your flame. And for the person that's probably going to say, "Oh, you didn't put any nitrogen in there," here you go. There's nitrogen in there. These repairs are not hard to make, guys. I know they seem hard, but they're not. It's only hard if you tell yourself it's hard, right? These repairs are not that hard. So I'll leave the link for what we used in this in the description of the video for the AL822. You can use rubbing alcohol to clean your fittings. You can use denatured alcohol. You can use mineral spirits, I believe. There's another product that I've used. I'm good with it. I just don't really like it as much as the AL822. I think they have a superior product in my opinion, but once again, opinions only matter to the person that has them. Opinions aren't everything. I just think it's a better product. Once again, I appreciate everybody watching this video. If you want to see anything else, you want to know how to do this, you want me to show aluminum to copper, it's just as easy, if not easier in my personal opinion. But I'm hoping everybody's going to have a good weekend and keep on HVACing on. If you like this video or any of the other videos, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and as usual, happy HVACing.